They were good. It's on Facebook, too.
That camera wants me to talk to it. We're live right now, John. We're live. Welcome in, everybody. We're at Radio Row in New Orleans, and you are tuned in to the DLLS Cowboys podcast. We got new coaches. We got mock drafts. We got guests, including the great Brian Broaddus, and all of it starts. Meow. Is the DLLS Cowboys podcast presented by our friends at Sleeper, and we are live on Radio Row in New Orleans, Louisiana. And we're off and kicking out here, and it is going to be a wild week. Pop's off to a hot start. Clarence had his
he's already got the chips.
Has his snacks.
He already snatching. How did you already find the snack bin?
Stop it. Don't do that.
The volume was up on his laptop to start the show. We are just crushing out here in New Orleans.
We went to the media room to get snacks.
Yeah, and we
went to get snacks.
I got a muffin and moved on. You got some more stuff.
We're gonna test John's abilities right out of the gate as he is out here running this thing. My name is Jeff. Kavanaugh. I don't know. I won't be able to hear it anyway. Next to me is the greatest beat writer in the history of the Cowboys, Clarence Hill.
I'm Pop.
Next to him is the greatest beat writer in the history of the Cowboys, Joe Hoyt.
Tell him something, Joe.
Yes, we're in this bad boy. We got new coaches to talk about. Congratulations to Jerry Jones for the first time in a long time. He is not the worst general manager in DFW, and that's badass. He lost that title to Nico Harrison of the Mavs. Make sure you're checking out our DLLS Mavs podcast, and hopefully they're just teeing off on Nico over and over again. Although there is a point to be made there. Luka could mix in a salad and do some sit-ups.
For sure. Yeah.
He could.
What?
This is disgusting.
What?
This is disgusting.
We're not doing a Maverick show.
I know.
We're not doing it.
This is disgusting.
It is gross.
It's one thing to trade Luka. It's another thing to trade him to the Lakers.
That's
fake
the
show,
thing.
the dreaded Lakers. Why do you want to help the Lakers? This is the league conspiracy. David Stern is turning over in his grave. Remember him shooting down there, rejecting that trade for Chris Paul?
Chris Paul trade, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He would not let this happen. Well, how do you let Luka go to the Lakers?
It shouldn't have happened.
Okay,
but Nico did it. Sorry, we got to get back
we're
together.
We're going to do this, aren't we? No, I think trading one of the top 3 to 4 players in the league at the age of 25 for an aging guy whose body is breaking down, and one first-round pick that will end up being like the 30th pick, I think that's an incredible trade. If you look at the history of superstar trades, what you're supposed to get if you trade Luka is a guy who's younger than him, that's a star on the cusp of superstardom, and 6 first-round picks.
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to get.
But it's also part of the conspiracy to make keep the Lakers relevant. To keep the Lakers relevant.
No,
yes, you're going to make sure the Lakers have a future after LeBron.
Chill out.
Come on.
They have had a run though of getting guys just falling into their lap. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, that's like, since we're going to bring it to football. Hey, this big-time defensive end in Cleveland wants to be traded.
He wants to be Arlington Martin product.
Yeah, and I think
trade him to the Cowboys.
Does he want to come home?
Cowboys should do it.
Bring him to the Cowboys.
Trade for Myles Garrett. Do it.
Yes.
Let's have fun.
Micah for Myles.
No.
That would be great for Jerry.
No.
Because Myles makes less than Micah's about to make.
I know.
And you could be cheaper and have one of the other 2 best defensive players on the planet. I don't know who's going to be in the mix for Myles Garrett. I can't imagine it's going to be the Cowboys, but I wish they would just grab a hold of their satchel and just go.
They're also going to.
How about a 3-team multi-league trade? How about Anthony Davis for Myles Garrett?
What if we could?
But where's the third team?
But the Lakers already traded. I'm just saying Anthony
okay.
Davis for Myles Garrett.
Who says no?
I mean, I'd do that in a heartbeat, but that's just because I care about the Cowboys more.
You think Anthony Davis could get after the quarterback?
No. I don't. I think Anthony Davis would roll 2 ankles, hurt both shoulders.
What about Plaxico, Plaxico Burress at receiver?
Cleveland does not have a quarterback. They don't have a future. Send Anthony Davis to the Cavs via the Browns and bring Myles Garrett to Dallas.
Myles Garrett has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns, which some people might say, hey, go do your job. I say 8 years up there, my man.
Yeah.
We salute you.
Yeah, he did great.
That was a long time.
He had a bar in his statement, too. He's like, I didn't come in the league to go from Cleveland to Canton. I wanted to go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, Myles.
Well, the Cowboys are on the cusp, Myles, so you should really consider coming on home. I think that would be great. We will have a couple of guests today. Keegan Abdoo from NFL Next Gen Stats is going to join us. Brian Broaddus from 105.3 The Fan is going to join us. So we are having ourselves a nice little party. And the Cowboys have new coaches. I had to catch up on things. I've been out of town. I've been doing nothing.
Where you been?
I was in Hawaii.
Where you going? Tell
You in
people.
Hawaii?
I was in Hawaii.
Because we didn't tell people where you were last week.
It is the worst feeling in the world as somebody who does a daily show when you check out for a week. Because, I mean, I never connected to the Wi-Fi there. I never opened my laptop.
Wow, you
I didn't do
unplugged.
I didn't do it.
I'm proud of you.
So I didn't know anything, and I got back, and I'm like, all right, let's sort through Cowboys coaching, who's here, who's doing what. And I think the most important name would be that Klayton Adams is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys under Brian Schottenheimer. And you guys can tell me, as our respected beat writers, what you know or think of this, and then I will tell you that I really, really like it, and I'll tell you why after.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of synchronicity with the move between
Synchronicity.
Wow,
That's
you
a
were
word.
spicy today.
That's a word.
It is a word, can confirm. A lot of synchronicity between what the Cowboys have kind of actually said they wanted to do in terms of an offensive coordinator hire and what they actually did. You know, Stephen Jones talked about, hey, we want to go get an offensive coordinator that prioritizes the run. That's what Brian Schottenheimer said too. You know, we want to make sure that this becomes a run-first offense that can kind of get the ball going there. They disregarded it last season. It's going to help out Dak Prescott in play action. And then they went out and did it. And that was, at one point, Ken Dorsey's name was floated out there. And I was kind of told pretty quickly. I was told, I'm not so sure about that one. And if they would have went and turned around and hired Ken Dorsey versus making a move like Klayton Adams, I think that would have had a lot of criticism about, like, hey, where direction do you want to go with your offensive coordinator hire? I think the Klayton Adams move is not only going to help out the run game, I think it's going to help out the offensive line and potentially the development of Tyler Guyton.
Yeah, so I think the way things go in the NFL a lot of the times is you hire a guy and you give him a job title to get him to do a different job.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what they're doing, but I support it. Because, I mean, one of the guys that got talked about the most and critically on the Cowboys staff, I think, was Mike Solari, the offensive line coach. And so I think what you did is you went and you found a team that has an offensive line coach that you love the way they run the ball. And we can get into the details of that later if you want to.
Yeah.
But Arizona does do a really good job in the running game in terms of you don't know what they're going to do. They're almost even when it comes to inside zone, outside zone, gap blocking, pin pull. Like, they do everything. Yeah. And they run the ball well despite I don't think they have a great offensive line. I don't think James Conner's great. I think he's solid. And they've done a really good job running the ball. So, like, when Ben Johnson gets hired, you're paying him head coach money to essentially be your offensive coordinator. You hope he can be a good head coach. You don't know. Yeah. You're hiring for the OC part of it. And I think because your OC is now your head coach, you're able to use OC title and money to steal somebody's offensive line coach. And to have that come here, I think, is really important because I don't think they've done a good job, for the most part, of developing offensive line.
No.
Tyler Smith has been wonderful.
Yeah, fantastic.
But, I mean, you've got a lot of young guys that have showed a little bit. Tyler Guyton's off to a bad start. Mm-hmm. You would love to see Tyler Guyton become a good NFL starter. You'd love to see Cooper Beebe become a kick-ass center or guard, whatever it's going to be. And to prioritize that and use your offensive coordinator job to steal an O-line coach, I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it.
And they will also hire an offensive line coach.
Yep.
You know, Klayton Adams won't. He's the offensive line coach, and certainly he's brought in to handle the running game. You like what they've done, but they will still hire an offensive line coach. Of course, they're still in the market hiring the running backs coach, and we'll get into that in a second. But one thing I would ask you, if you're concerned at all about with Klayton Adams, his offensive line, certainly not in Indy, but certainly in Arizona, they have a running quarterback. You know, that's
that
part
always
of,
helps.
That that helps. You look at what's going on in Baltimore. You look what's going on in Philadelphia. The running quarterback, having to account for the running quarterback, does help the running game
for sure.
You know, and you look at Kyler Murray's yards per carry average. It helps boost the overall team yards, but it's like 7 or 8 yards per carry.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. That's not going to be the case in Dallas.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's not going to be the
You
case.
don't you don't think Dak's mobile?
But what was the list? Was it Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins?
Listen,
don't think Dak's
I've
mobile?
said from the beginning that the Dak selection always been part of his game, but they want to be more Aaron Rodgers than it frustrates me. It's always frustrated me that it seems like Cowboys are always behind the curve. You look at all these running quarterbacks and teams find a way to incorporate their quarterbacks' legs, things they did in college, into what they do in the pros, rather than we want, kind of what Philly did early with McNabb, and we want you to be a pocket quarterback. Don't use your feet. It's like the same thing in Dallas. Like, yes, I know what makes you special is being a dual threat, but we care about safety, we care about longevity, and so we're going to take an aspect of your game away that makes you who you are, and they've done that with Dak. Certainly got hurt, but Patrick Mahomes had run.
Patrick Mahomes never had his bone from his leg pointing at his neck.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that's part of the game. That's part of the wave of the future. All these quarterbacks coming into the league, great passers, they also are mobile. You have to be able to use your legs, use that aspect of the game. The one reason why Kansas is in the Super Bowl, they use the quarterback run on the goal line, quarterback sweep. You got to have that. Needs to be part of your game. So can Dak get back to that to help bump up this running game?
Yeah, and I don't know if he can. And so if he can't, then you're going to have a really good running game. You're going to have a good play action that helps him a lot. And the one thing about Klayton Adams, too, we talked to our friends over at PHNX last night about this. Klayton Adams has a nice kind of trajectory of taking a bunch of different guys on the offensive lines, first-round picks or, late-round picks, and melding them together, guys from a bunch of different types of developmental backgrounds and working together. So I think that's why this, in terms of trying to get the most out of Tyler Guyton, that's what makes Klayton Adams very, very interesting to me.
And I hope that they go help the offensive line. My guess is that they won't.
In the draft?
I don't think, obviously mock drafts don't mean anything. They're just fun. But you're not going to see a bunch of mock drafts. They're going to have the Cowboys taking a first-round offensive lineman, even if he's the best player on the board. Because, Beebe has a job here. Tyler Smith obviously has a job here.
What about Guyton?
So in my world, the way I would run a football team, Tyler Guyton does not have a job on my offensive line at all, because that's a job you earn.
Yeah.
And what we've seen from you on the football field so far is if you're my starting left tackle, I'm bad at left tackle. That's a bad plan.
Yeah.
I would make sure you have somebody that can play left tackle in the NFL. If Guyton shows up to camp and is better and he competes and he wins a job, great. If he has to compete with Terrence Steele because I found a good left tackle, great. I am not a believer in I think Tyler Guyton is a perfect mirror image of Mozzie Smith last year. As a rookie, he was awful. And they just went to the offseason and said, yeah, but it'll be year 2. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
And if that's your plan, then you're not trying again next year.
But they added a bunch of defensive linemen. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they added everybody that Zimmer had their phone number at the end of camp when they realized they had no defensive linemen.
Yo, Linval, you good?
I'm not writing off Tyler Guyton's career.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm doing. Tyler Guyton could turn into a good offensive lineman. I hope he turns into a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. But to plan that he's going to be good immediately in year 2 when the only evidence you have is absolutely not, I am a big believer in sunk cost, right?
Yeah.
I already used that pick. So what? When we talk about what we need in this draft, tell me about the players we have on the team, not what we've already used picks on. I don't care. I just want to make our team the best. If picking a left tackle makes our team the best, pick him. If Tyler Guyton's going to earn a job somewhere else, maybe back on the right side, and then you can move on from Terrence Steele, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out as we go. Our goal is to make the team better. And I'm glad that they hired a guy to be their offensive coordinator that I think can help your offensive line, because that's what the Cowboys need a lot. They need everything. But I think building the trenches, that's good football. Getting your trenches right, that's good football. The Chiefs' whole defense is based around what you going to do about Chris Jones?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? We got a monster here right in the middle. And I would love for the Cowboys to get their trenches right. And they got a lot of work to do there.
You know what happens when you get your trenches right, too? It allows Ashton Jeanty to run.
It does allow Ashton Jeanty to run.
Jeanty. We get the trenches right in free agency.
Yeah, and they should.
Yeah,
honestly, if they're not I'm not name calling. If they're not incompetent, you are signing a starting caliber NFL linebacker, 1 defensive tackle or 2.
Yep.
maybe an offensive lineman, definitely a running back, definitely at least one corner. You're signing 6 guys who are starter level-ish so that you don't have to pick certain things at every pick. All right, we are here live in New Orleans on Radio Row, and we are having ourselves a time. Shout out to Michael, who's in the Super Chat. Enough with drafting O-line, D-line in the first 3 rounds. We need a running back and receivers, adjust the scheme on offense to fit the O-line personnel we have, get O-line and D-line help in free agency, and use picks on playmakers. Yeah, that's the thing. No matter what they use their picks on, you're going to be like, yeah, but why didn't they? They got a lot of needs. Pick the best players. Coming up next, let me make sure I have my run sheet right. Keegan said 11:30, right?
So we got
Which means that
Broaddus.
coming up next is my friend Brian Broaddus from 105.3 The Fan talking Cowboys football. That's next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast.
And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Game Time. We've talked to you about it all year. We've said, go get tickets to the big game, every single week. This week is the big game. I mean, tickets might be a little expensive on Game Time too. But if you use our code DLLS Cowboys, you're going to, or DLS, excuse me, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. So, hey, that could help a little bit with getting to the big game. Game Time is awesome. They have all-in pricing. That's the real actual use of all-in. That always allows me to kind of get past all the fees and all the other, sneaky stuff that they get you with. They've got the preview before you go. I've always loved that ability to kind of know what you're getting with each ticket. You can visually see yourself there. Game Time is fantastic. They've got Game Time ticket coverage and the lowest price guaranteed. Take the guesswork out of your buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Reminder, DLLS, $20 off your first purchase to get the lowest price guaranteed. Last minute, before, all good. What time is it?
Game time. Shout out to our friends at Sleeper as well. They're our presenting folks out here. Sleeper's taking care of us. Make sure you download that app. And what you're going to do on the Sleeper app is you're going to make sure you know the promo code DLLS Boys, and that's going to get you the hookup to get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. And what those contests are is you're just picking whether you think people are going to have more or less than their projected stats each week. So, or even each day. I think of it as each week because I think of football, but I like to jump off into some hockey and say that a goalie's going to have more saves than is projected. Slap that in with Jalen Hurts is going to have less than his passing yards. Saquon's going to have more than his rushing yards. And you do that. And the more picks that you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. So if you got what it takes, new users, download the Sleeper app, use the code DLLS Boys. You get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Currently operational in over 25 states. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check out Sleeper today. All right, we're rocking and rolling in New Orleans, and we have our first guest of Radio Row. Our first guest of Radio Row. He's my draft father. He is my crawfish boiling sensei. He is a former Dallas Cowboys scout, a Super Bowl winning scout with the Green Bay Packers. And we say hello to Brian Broaddus. Hi, Brian.
Gentlemen, welcome to the fray.
Oh, hold on. Let's get him cranked up.
Yeah, here we go.
Now
There we go.
Yeah, how about that?
Hi.
Hi. How we doing? Gentlemen, welcome to the fray.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're out here.
Good deal.
Your team's not even out here. Brian's on 105.3 The Fan.
Yeah.
Home of the Cowboys from 2 to 7. And your team's not even out here. They left you out here alone.
I drove.
Oh, you psycho.
I just like to do that. I like to have my own destiny in my hands.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, it's short. And I went to school in Baton Rouge, so I got to go through and see some friends and stuff like that. So, kind of like Uncle Clarence here, I always make it a work trip. He'll in these cities. We got cousins and friends and all that, right, Clarence? We got cousins in Philadelphia, Washington, New York.
It's always work. Mixed work and pleasure.
There you go.
Mixed work and pleasure.
There you go.
Got people everywhere.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? What are you doing in your cowboy brain right now? Are you worried about coaching things, or are you just solely locked in on the draft?
No, I'm just kind of focusing on the draft. But I was, I ran in. We had a broadcast out there at the Omni the other day, and it so happened that Matt Eberflus and then our new offensive line coach was an offensive coordinator were staying. So I saw them checking in, boom. I know Matt Eberflus well, like Clarence does. I mean, we've all covered Matt. And when I was with DallasCowboys.com, so it's nice to catch up with him again and all that. And guys are excited about being here. Didn't ask him about, hey, did you ever think about using a timeout or anything like
yeah,
that?
no, don't ask about that
didn't
stuff.
do any of that stuff.
Let him make it.
But no, it's it's just it appears that they're getting to hire the people that they want to hire. And the fact that they're going outside the building, I'm really glad that they brought Lunda Wells back. I think Lunda Wells can really coach, and so there were some questions that if Adams wasn't named as the OC, they still might hire an offensive line coach from what we're hearing. Yeah. So we'll see how that all plays.
One thing, certainly Schotty is not an exciting hire. But from your standpoint, from talking to people, is what they're doing with the assistant coaches, does that kind of give him more cachet compared to what McCarthy's assistant?
Yeah, I think when you remember this very well, Clarence, when Mike McCarthy first came in, he hired a bunch of his friends, Jim Tom Sula, Mike Nolan, Rob Davis.
Brian Schottenheimer.
A lot of
that was later.
That was later, yeah. Ben McAdoo was the originator of that position. But, yeah, I think Jerry and Steven and Will allow you to hire coaches if you prove that these coaches are worthwhile. And then when they don't become worthwhile, then it's like, listen, hey, have you guys heard of Dan Quinn? Have you heard of Mike Zimmer before? So, yeah, I do. I'm encouraged by the coaches that have come in, and I think that any time that you have new ideas, new blood, I think that's a good thing, especially on a staff.
If you kind of look at Klayton Adams' time in Arizona, that offensive line, they do a lot of stuff there, but also a lot of different guys from different backgrounds in terms of where they were picked or how they were found to Arizona. They ended up kind of doing a lot of synchronicity, together there. In terms of Klayton Adams coming on, how much do you think that could help a Tyler Guyton or a Cooper Beebe?
Yeah, from what I have friends in Arizona that were telling me about Klayton Adams was that, and this was encouraging to me, Joe, was that he will coach veterans and rookies the same. And I was worried about Guyton, and with Guyton it was really more about penalties. There was going to be the learning curve. He didn't play a lot of games in college. They threw him in there. We're so used to and accustomed to plug and play here. It just didn't work out that way. And so I was encouraged by that. This guy is the number one word I heard from him was a teacher, and his ability. Wasn't a yeller screamer guy, but he wanted to. He'll take rookies, he'll take veterans, he'll coach them the same, and he'll get them all ready. What I was encouraged by, and Jeff and I did a podcast this morning together before your show here.
Incredible podcast. Yeah. Check out my personal YouTube channel.
And so we were talking about all the different things that when you look at Arizona and how they run the ball, we always talk about pin and pulls. We talk about outside zone, inside zone, trap plays. I mean, you look at how that was all broken down.
20%, 20%,
yeah,
20%,
yeah.
20%.
If you, it's not like, hey, we're going to hang our hat on inside zone. They really did a good job of like going to different avenues to try and move the football, and I think that's the one thing that I'm encouraged by by the hire is that hopefully he could come in with Schottenheimer, marry what he's learned in the running game. I hope he has some of that DNA from his dad as far as when he used LaDainian Tomlinson and those guys in the way that they played.
So when it comes to the draft, if you're new around here or you don't know all the characters that you're looking at or listening to right now, Brian Broaddus was a Cowboy Scout, was a Packer Scout. Eagles ran the draft
Jacksonville,
in
98, yeah.
Got to run the 98 draft, found 3 Pro Bowlers in that bad boy.
It's funny, you saw Hugh Douglas over here, like we're broadcast on WIP.
He was who we traded for.
We traded for Hugh Douglas in the second round. Mike Lombardi came in my office at the vet and goes, hey, listen, who do you got on the board in the second round? And I'm like, well, who are you thinking about? He goes, I got a chance to get Hugh Douglas for us if you want to go for it. And I'm like, I don't got anybody on the board better than Hugh Douglas. And so, yeah, we traded for Hugh. So 4 of the 6 picks that we had or used made the Pro Bowl. But me and Mike never got to see that.
Yeah, and then immediately got thrown out.
Well, we got thrown
Thanks
out.
for
We
doing that, guys.
also introduced Andy Reid to and John Harbaugh to them. So Mike got John Harbaugh hired in Philly. And then they didn't know Andy in my background with Green Bay, so yeah.
So Brian was the one who, 2010, 2011, let me sneak into Valley Ranch and start watching the college kids with him. And
you would eat all the candy and all the coaches' meals, too.
And all the cherry Cokes, would do all that. And probably owe my career to Brian, so thanks for my career. I appreciate it. As you are getting ready for this year's NFL draft and going through the tape and looking at the 12th overall pick, do you have any initial leanings, like position group that the talent is right, that it could make sense at 12, like things you're looking at as the most likely options?
If Dr. Cooper gives you a clean bill of health on Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle, I mean, he's the best offensive tackle in the draft. This draft is not,
according to you.
This draft is not. You like Banks from Texas, right?
That's my guy.
Okay.
Campbell's good too. The LSU one. There's three really, really good ones.
Do you play Banks at Texas at guard, or you play him at tackle?
I think my favorite thing about Kelvin Banks is, what do you need? If you want to play him at left tackle, I feel good. If you want to play him at guard, I feel like you got a chance to have the Zach Martin thing happen where he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he had some good matchups in these bowl games. I know Clarence, being an alum, will tell you all about the games that they had to play, the Clemsons, the Ohio States, and stuff like that. You got some really good film on him playing against. And Ohio State's got some guys.
They got two good edge guys.
Yeah, that you have to deal with there. So that's the quality. I personally think that Simmons is the best tackle, but he has the knee injury. Everybody talks about Genty. Now, if you go through this draft, I think there's 4 backs that are really kind of workhorse backs. I think Genty is one of those guys. Yeah. Now, it goes down to like Hampton, is one guy, and then
North Carolina,
and then Johnson from Iowa, Henderson from Ohio State. Then I think after that, you kind of have to pair them up with a guy.
Right.
You don't want to make them the workhorse back. So, Genty will be the top on a lot of people's boards. Just you're picking that high. You're looking for health. You're looking for you're looking for the player's ability, and you're also looking for the character stuff. You don't want to make a mistake.
Right.
This offensive tackle group that we've seen, I don't think it's as good as what we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
And some of the wide receivers, I think you could get an outstanding wide receiver. I'm kind of hunting an X to be opposite. I know you were always my wide receiver whisperer, talking about, well, man.
I was this close to the NFL. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
You have this close right here.
This close?
Yeah, extended all the way out, all the way past green.
I was that close.
So that, to me, I think where Dallas is going to have to do some good in the draft, in free agency, if they're going to play in this game, they're going to go have to get another Eric Kendricks, because the linebacker room does not look as deep in the college draft. And I know, Joe, you study as well. It just doesn't look as deep right now with what I've seen. So corner, defensive tackle, especially one techniques, looks huge. Mm-hmm. Running backs, some wide receivers. You kind of see, you want your X, you want your Z, you want your slot player. Got a lot of those.
It's interesting because after over a decade, I guess, of doing this, of like watching the college players and we used to build a draft board together, and so now just kind of doing that on my own, and you're trying to find these dream scenarios where it's like, oh, yes, that's the guy I have graded that I want in this spot, and then they go 20 spots earlier, and sometimes you got to go early. And I saw a mock draft this morning that had the Cowboys picking Walter Nolan, the Ole Miss defensive tackle, and at
12?
12. And my initial instinct wasn't to go, oh, no. My instinct was like, oh, that's fun. Yeah. And, I have him as a second-round guy.
Yeah.
But, the draft is wild. I do think he has the tools of when you look at the D tackles that are a double-digit sack threat.
Right.
I think Mason Graham is going to be a good, steady player. The Michigan guy, probably going to go top 10. I think he's going to be a steady, good player for somebody for a decade. Walter Nolan on the plays where you see him line somebody up one-on-one, that could be a double-digit sack guy. Yeah, and so, I'm like, I have him in the second round, but just seeing his name, I'm like, that is my favorite 3 technique. He could be a monster.
Yeah, the problem is he's got a little David Irving to his game. I don't mean off the field where Clarence is running down reports,
selling rolling papers on Instagram.
No, I think where you look at, yes, there's that flash where he could have that game against the Green Bay Packers where he's NFC Player of the Week, and then the next 2 games you don't see him really at all. So that inconsistency with the defensive tackle group, I think the thing with Graham, and a lot of people out there are looking at the Michigan helmet, especially Cowboy fans.
Don't do that.
Don't scout the helmet.
Don't
scout
do
the player.
That.
Wink Martindale's the defensive coordinator at Michigan. It's a different scheme. It's not the 2-gap read and react kind of stuff. It is like go. And so, just don't scout the helmet. But the 2 of the best defensive tackles taken in the draft are from Michigan.
Listen, we're going to talk about the draft for the next 3 months, right?
Yeah.
What are you trying to do?
We're at the Super Bowl. Can I ask Brian about the Super Bowl?
Sure. Go ahead.
Come in. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about the draft for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Why?
Hater.
You've been here a long time. You've been around a long time. The longest I've been around.
You're all these Super Bowls. Yeah. Most of them.
Why have the Cowboys struggled? Why have the Cowboys struggled to get back in the big game from when you were on the staff to off the staff? What
we were
is
awful.
the problem?
Yeah, Clarence, we were awful. And I think that's about when you were starting with us.
96, 97?
Yeah,
yes.
we
it's
were.
Clarence's fault. It started when he got here.
No,
curse.
we were in the early 2000s. We just were not. We were. We did a poor job in scouting. We never found a quarterback. The coaching staff did not do a good job. Front office didn't do a good job. And I include myself in that is why. And then Parcells came in, kind of gave it some credibility and stuff like that with what we had to do. I think this team over the years has been built to win the division. I don't think it's been built to win the conference. Mm-hmm. When you start to look at the teams around that are – Howie Roseman, to me, is built a team that can win the conference,
or the Super Bowl.
Or the Super Bowl. Yeah, right. Absolutely. You look at some of the quality teams, what they've done in Kansas City, what they've done in Buffalo. These teams are built to win. I think I think Will does a really nice job of building a team that can compete with the Eagles, and now the Commanders are in the situation. People say, "Well, damn, Brian, they beat the Commanders once last year," but it was like it was kind of crazy, fluky kind of things that happened along the way. But the thing about it is, like I say, I just feel like that this is a team that just does not. They have players. They have players that can play to a certain level, but they don't have difference makers, and I don't think they have difference makers at a head coach. I don't think they've had a difference. Now, people say McCarthy won a Super Bowl and all that.
No, I wouldn't. I like McCarthy. He's not a difference maker.
We all like Mike, but you
can't say
you
that.
look at these coaches. You look at these coaches now that are in these games. Yeah. They are difference makers. There are reasons why they're able to push on.
Brian Broaddus, you can hear him on 105.3 The Fan. You can see him on YouTube with me twice a week. You can see him on YouTube with Vach Lombardi all the time. You can see him on the Love of the Star podcast. Brian's everywhere. Brian, we appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great week.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you.
Let's go get some crawfish and some gumbo.
Sounds good, brother.
And some etouffee.
Crawfish!
All right, it is the DLLS Cowboys podcast presented by Sleeper here on Radio Row in New Orleans. And coming up next, we're going to do some stuff on Micah Parsons with our friend Keegan Abdoo from NFL Next Gen Stats and figure out, is Micah any good or should we trade him tomorrow? That's next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast. And first, I want to tell you about our friends at Ice Shaker. Ice Shakers are awesome. IceShaker.com. You need the promo code ALLCITY25. It's a perfect gift for the sports fan in your life. The Ice Shaker, officially licensed with NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, and MLB. Created and used by the Gronkowski brothers. They've sold over 1 million bottles. They've changed the game with workout bottles, and it's the bottle you've been looking for. IceShaker.com. The code is ALLCITY25. That saves you 25% on your order. It's kitchen-grade stainless steel bottles that won't absorb odor like the plastic bottles do. Patented twist-in agitator that breaks up powders but is silent when you shake it instead of the annoying ball. It's customizable. Send them a logo or check out the custom shop to make your favorite bottle. Turnaround time, 3 to 5 business days. Order your team-branded bottles today at IceShaker.com. Use the code ALLCITY25 for 25% off your order. Go do that. Also, want to salute our friends at Rugged Road. The finest coolers in all the land.
Such good coolers.
And you know I do love me a cooler. Rugged Road's got the best coolers. I tell you, they float. And they don't just float. They float upright. You're on a river trip, just toss that sucker in and go chase it. It'll keep your cold daddies cold. You can just be chasing that thing down there, and it'll be upright for you. Just pop that top, and then you can pop that top. You know what I'm saying?
And then pop.
That top, and then you can pop that top.
Pop top.
Lightweight design, durability, dependability, versatility. These are the things that you get. RuggedRoadOutdoors.com is the website. You head on over there. Gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, built to be used. Rugged Road, your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to RuggedRoadOutdoors.com. Use the code DLLS for 10% off. Guest number 2 of the day on the DLLS Cowboys podcast. We are on Radio Row in New Orleans, and we are happy to welcome in our friend. Keegan Abdoo is with us, and Keegan is the Senior Manager of Research and Analytics for Next Gen Stats, and he's joining us. Hi, Keegan, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me on.
I love Next Gen Stats. I love NFL Pro, and we can talk about what some of those things are, and just all of the things that you can now track in football, the data and how it matches up with the film. I'm a weirdo. I love both.
Oh, yeah.
I like the next-gen stats, and then I like to watch the All-22 and just make sure that they're friends.
100%. Should always lead back to it.
Yeah. It should just be telling me what I'm going to see when I watch. If it doesn't, then we're going to have to figure some things out. So anybody who watches football and you see all the next-gen stats, you can get stats. Sometimes they'll pop up the little dots thing and show you the routes. What exactly is, or how would you describe next-gen stats just in a nutshell?
Basically, every player is wearing chips in their shoulder pads. We can tell you where they are on the field 10 times per second. And over the last decade or so, we've been able to build out a suite of 500 or so different metrics that are available in near real time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, it's just tracking data, and we can build a bunch of models or business logic or whatever to identify real things happening on the football field in real time.
Keegan, I want to thank you on behalf of every writer out there, because what you guys have done over at Next Gen Stats is so cool, because we used to only rely on yards and, just completion percentage, and at the end of the day, the game is so much deeper than that. So I want to thank you for helping us tell the story of the NFL so much better. One guy that it's pretty easy to kind of see his impact, but you could even dive deeper into is Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I mean, and by our numbers, Micah Parsons has pretty much been the best defensive player in the league since entering the league. You look at since entering the league in 2001 or 2021, he didn't even play edge full time his first year, and he still leads the NFL in total pressures and pressure rate.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So how we have a guy in the chat who's like, how does Micah do against good tackles? But it's bad. You're wrong. Micah Parsons is absolutely incredible. Micah Parsons might be the best defensive player in football. You could probably make a case for some other guys. But just going through, when you look at pressures or percentage of pass rushes where you get a pressure, or quick pressures, which are measured in, 2.5 seconds or whatever?
2.5 seconds, yeah. So disrupting the play before it even has a chance to develop.
And Micah basically breaks the whole thing, right?
Oh, yeah. You look at, since he became a full-time edge in 2022, leads the NFL in quick pressures. The only other player in his stratosphere is Myles Garrett. I think those two are 30 quick pressures above the next closest player, probably Trey Hendrickson. But yeah, he just wins so fast, cuts inside, and they move him all over, whether it's Ben Zimmer, whether it's been Dan Quinn, and now Eberflus coming in this year. I'm sure they'll find ways to line him up, as a mugged up backer. They'll put him on the interior and run twists. He's just, you always need to know where he is on offense.
Mm-hmm. And I think one thing with Next Gen Stats, too, we see the numbers, right? 75 pressures last year despite missing 4 games for Micah Parsons. That's absolutely insane. But I think also people wonder, how, from behind the scenes, how do you guys actually kind of tabulate all this stuff? Is it basically just chips and dots and figuring that stuff, or is it marrying watching the game with things you're getting from data perspective from the chip inside the shoulder? How do you kind of get all these stats accumulated?
Yeah, so, with pressures specifically, if you go back, we used to measure pressures just by did you get within 2 yards of the quarterback when they release the ball. Obviously, quarterbacks can react to pressure as well, so we thought that was insufficient. 2 off seasons ago, we built a whole model to better identify pressure, training it off of labeled plays. So you start with the film, and then you push it through these advanced models to figure out, can we identify pressures just based on the tracking data? And you can go see for yourself, go on NFL Pro, click on his pressures, and those are what are being identified by the model, and you can see if you agree with that yourself or not. Obviously, pressures are always going to be a little bit subjective, so we try and make it as objective as possible.
That is always fun, seeing the difference in numbers between places, and I've never really known the answer. Obviously, you guys have built a model that you're comfortable saying that your number is your number.
Yeah.
Do you know what the differences are between other places and how they're doing it?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look at a company like PFF or Sports Info Solutions, they have an army of charters who are going in and watching every play. And I started that way. I was at Sports Info Solutions back in the day. I worked for the Browns a little bit doing some hand charting. And I think that that data is, high quality as well. It just takes a lot longer to accumulate. You just can't get it nearly as live. So, a big thing with Next Gen Stats is we work with all the broadcasts to get our stats integrated into the broadcast and help tell a better story. So, you'll be watching the Super Bowl probably and see at one point that maybe Chris Jones has 3 pressures, or Jalen Hurts has been under pressure 9 times, and we're getting that information.
Jalen Hurts is not going to throw 9 passes.
Come on. One thing I think is interesting too, and you were able to get these stats for us, so thank you, is the difference between Micah Parsons on the field and Micah Parsons off the field. A couple numbers here. Cowboys defense time to throw face, so how long the quarterback had the chance to throw. 2.75 seconds when Parsons was on the field, 2.95 without. Cowboys defense explosive rate last season was a 13.9% with Parsons and 20.3% without
That's
Parsons.
almost 50% worse.
Yeah, that ranked
when he's off the field.
That ranks last in the NFL. And then EPA allowed was a negative 16.4 with Parsons and a plus 25.1 without him. Long story short, that pretty much tells the value of Micah Parsons, right?
Yeah, you go from, one of the, a good to great defense to one of the worst defenses in the league. And I think that the time to throw really tells you, that quarterbacks feel more comfortable holding onto the ball when Micah Parsons is not on the field. When he's on the field, they got to get rid of the ball. Routes don't have as much time to develop. You can't get those explosive passes. All that.
Yeah.
So we didn't prep for this, so I'm just going to throw this at you blind. If I could convince Jerry Jones to also trade for Myles Garrett, based on all of your guys' data, would I have the 2 best pass rushers on the planet?
I think so. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty terrifying twosome. As a Giants fan, personally, I certainly would not want to be going up against that. It's already terrifying enough to go up against Micah Parsons, and we've seen with Evan Neal over the years how that's
poor
gone.
guy.
Yeah.
I love the draft. Who are you guys going to pick?
I don't know, man. I really don't want one of these quarterbacks. Get Travis Hunter and move on.
Go ahead, Clarence. Sorry.
Can you measure? Have y'all measured like Parsons? Because Parsons really hasn't played with another top pass rusher, top defender, and how does that play into these stats with some of these other players like the Bosa's who have defensive linemen on their team who are at the top of the league as well?
Yeah, so one thing that's interesting about Micah Parsons, we don't track chip blocks. That's something that we're actively working on. But in terms of double teams, he is constantly one of the only edge players who gets true double teams more than anyone in the league. So they're shifting the line towards him. A lot of that also is due to the stunts that the Cowboys run. But he's consistently beating double teams. 2 years ago, first 2 years, you did have one of the deepest pass rushes in the league, I would say. When you had Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong and DeMarcus Lawrence and Osa Odighizuwa.
Yeah, all of Washington's pass rushers.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that you can see the attention that offenses will give to Micah Parsons just purely based on his double team rate.
Keegan, since you brought it up, Giants fan.
Yes.
We are here in New Orleans. The Eagles and the Chiefs are playing. And Saquon Barkley is starring for the Eagles. How has this been?
He wasn't going to do it there.
What?
Saquon couldn't do it there.
Oh, he was good, though. How has this been? And I'm sorry. I thanked you earlier, and now I'm apologizing.
It's I'm happy for Saquon. It's just
nice.
really tough to see in an Eagles jersey. But, I mean, at least he's getting to thrive and finally, has room to run for the first time. It definitely sucks losing that explosiveness from the team. And overall seemed to be just a great overall ambassador for the Giants and to the community. So it's been tough to see, but I don't think he's necessarily turned heel on the Giants. I feel like a lot of Giants fans have very bittersweet opinions on this. Like, we'd love to see you excel elsewhere, just anywhere but the Eagles, but we didn't pay him, so we have no one to blame but ourselves.
Any next gen stats on Luka Doncic to the Lakers?
We're looking forward to Luka winning championships with the Lakers. We can't wait. It's going to be so great.
What you got for us?
I got nothing there.
It's not in the database.
Yeah, we don't have anything on basketball,
How
unfortunately.
quickly did your jaw hit the floor? That's the next gen stats that we got to find for the Luke.
Yeah, I mean, I was out and about in the French Quarter, and I had to do like a triple take at my phone. Like,
I
what?
don't think this is real. that was kind of my reaction. This is Keegan Abdoo, who is the senior manager of research and analytics for Next Gen Stats. And so, like last year, NFL fans, if you subscribe to NFL Pro, like I do, because I like to go back and watch the All 22 tape, and that was part of NFL Plus Premium, you were able to access the Next Gen Stats database for the first time ever. And it's just awesome stuff. If you're a huge football fan, get your NFL Pro, your NFL Plus Premium, and get up in there because, my God, it's fun. It's fun to fart around with data and film. That's what I want you to know.
Fart around.
Is that the new slogan for Next Gen Stats?
Fart around.
Could be. I'll talk to our branding people.
Fart around
Yeah.
with data and film. Thank you,
Yeah.
Keegan. We appreciate
Thanks,
you.
guys,
dude.
for having me on.
Thank you,
man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
see
you.
guys.
All right, and we are onward toward our final segment of the broadcast day on Radio Row. What's up, Walt? How the hell did you get credentialed? Yeah, we're on to our final segment of the
He's always
broadcast
here.
day, and we are in New Orleans. I'm surprised that Joe and Clarence made it to work today. We've got mock drafts and other things that we're looking forward to this week. That is all next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast. Oh, hello.
Hi.
And also, we want you to sign up to be a diehard. We really need you to sign up. Look, I don't know if there's any spots left, but alldlls.com/events.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to go watch the Anthony Davis, if his abs are healed, led Mavericks against the Celtics at Cosm.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a diehard, you get 20% off that ticket. Maybe we can have it be like a Luka memorial event.
Oh, yeah.
But
Candles? They allow candles in Cosm?
/events and join our watch party. But yeah, thank you to those of you who watch. If you're here, if you're subscribed, we love it. If you're hitting the like button, we love it. If you're in the chat, we love it. All of those things are good for us. They're good for the algorithm. And this is your one-stop shop for all of your DFW sports needs, whether you're looking for the best writing about your teams, whether you're just looking for shows every day, we have all of those things. And if you sign up to be a diehard at alldlls.com, you get access to all of our premium written content. The draft is going to have so much of that stuff. We're going to crush it with the draft. We got Fran Duffy doing that stuff. We're going to kill it, and you're going to want to have access to that. You'll also get a free T-shirt when you sign up. Joe, you got one on? Joe's got one.
I do got one, yeah.
Yeah, you can pick from our merch store a free T-shirt when you sign up to be a diehard. You get 20% off of merch. So if you want to get the hoodie like Clarence and I are rocking, 20% off that if you're signed up to be a diehard. You get your carrying card, which is pretty sweet. And access to our Discord lounge where we hang out and talk about anything and everything with all of you psychos. It's a really good time. So sign up to be a diehard. We sure would appreciate it. All right, I know I missed some supers, so I'm going to do some scrolling.
Let's get some scrolling.
Byron Joe David, give up the 12 for Garrett, dismiss Lawrence, and draft Deion Walker. Okay, I like all the draft plans. I like them all.
It's going to be more than 1-1, though.
I like
It don't have
them
to
all.
be.
I don't know. I think
It's
they're
gonna be
going to
one-
get it done. You think
No,
you think they're going to get more than the 12th overall pick?
For Myles Garrett?
yeah.
Yes.
30-something years old, you got to pay him
With
again.
2 years on his deal still?
Yeah, but you think those 2 years are going to stay on his deal?
Yeah, Garrett wants.
You know how these
Garrett
trades
wants
work.
Garrett wants a new
Pay
deal.
him.
You're signing him the day he gets there.
Keegan just told us how good he is.
He's very good.
2 firsts,
He
2
ain't no
seconds.
Garrett
spring
wants a new
chicken.
deal.
He's no spring chicken.
How old is Myles Garrett?
I bet he's 30 or 31.
No
my
way.
guess.
He's 28.
I bet he's 30 or 31.
I bet you he's 28.
I'll wait.
Hold on.
I'll wait.
Wi-Fi here in the radio
No,
rows a
it's
little.
fine. I'll wait.
Wi-Fi's a little.
I'll wait.
29.
Split the difference.
That's fair.
Okay. All right.
Got the next one.
A tie. The other super chat that we hadn't hit yet. I really hope Jerry doesn't pull a Cuban and trade Micah, who we all now see is the best.
It wasn't Cuban though. It wasn't Cuban.
No, Cuban has nothing to do with anything anymore. His response to the trade was MFFL. Like, no, Mark Cuban would never. And I actually, like, when it comes to GMing sports teams, it's weird because there's a fine line. Like, I think that the Luka trade is bad because it was a stupid trade.
No doubt.
I don't think Mark Cuban was very good at running a team either as a personnel guy because he was overly loyal to the people that he loves. He wouldn't have traded Luka for Anthony Davis, LeBron, 17 first-round picks,
No.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and fill in the blank. It's because he loves his guys. Dwight Powell gets $11 million a year because they love him.
Yeah.
Like, Cuban's the exact opposite. I do want my general manager to be shrewd. The only problem is this trade wasn't shrewd. It was stupid.
Thank you.
And that's not. I don't want to be overly loyal because my goal is to win championships. I don't want to be tied by how much I like my guys. But in this case, boy, they must have hated their guy.
Dude.
And the fact that they just zoned in on Anthony Davis instead of saying, "Hey NBA, what will you give us
Right.
if you want to move him?" What a weird. If they don't win a championship in the next 2 years, we're gonna be pissed for the next 6.
Yeah.
As they suck and don't have picks to get good again.
Yeah.
We got one more super chat.
You got one more? Enough with draft. I think I already did that one.
Yeah, we
Claire.
did that
Did
one.
you?
Yeah.
My bad.
I already did that one.
My bad.
You okay?
You want to fight?
No, my bad.
Somebody said your snacks were on screen. Where are your
I
snacks
moved
at?
my snacks.
moved
It's
them.
gone.
Where are the snacks?
Where are your snacks
It was
at?
it was a Dorito that was on the screen. Let's clear up a couple of things before we
Clear
get
them
to.
up. Clear them up.
The Cowboys are still in the running for running backs coach. We already
That's
said
right.
they're going to hire offensive line coach. Still in the running for a running back coach. They did hire a cornerbacks coach in Overstreet.
Overstreet, yeah.
Brian Overstreet.
Where's he from? Who is he? What's he do?
You know, he's actually a
Who
Dallas
is your
kid.
daddy and what does he do?
He's a Dallas kid.
Was it Kimball? Yeah.
He was Samuel.
Samuel,
Yeah, Dallas kid, played in Missouri. Most famous because he's the son of the legendary Oklahoma running back David Overstreet.
That's the legendary. I should know his name.
Yeah, he was back in the OU doing the wishbone back in the day. David Overstreet
In the pop days.
Yeah,
Did you ever hear like that, like David did?
yeah, David was a
Look at
bad
that.
boy.
Yeah.
David was a bad
Look
boy.
at that. Nice fro.
David was a bad boy, but yeah. So he's the because we get so caught up in the Al Harris and just like we talked the other day with Andre Curtis. We talked to Quandre Diggs about Andre Curtis.
It was fantastic.
Who loves Al
I heard
Harris.
it was fantastic,
Yeah,
but I was off the grid, so I'm going to see it today.
Who loves, the new secondary coach. And this guy, there's some missing tape out of him. He brings a lot of energy. So, I know everybody's going to miss Al Harris, but, they've done good with the replacement of the secondary coach. Again, and we talked over the weekend, or not talked, we wrote over the weekend about the Cowboys being interested in Tashard Choice and Rashad Samples.
Isn't it funny that it's Texas and Oregon?
Yeah, Texas, Oregon.
of all coaches.
a couple of powerhouses. They're not interviewing anybody from ACU.
It's my understanding that, obviously
Graham Harrell went to ACU.
the Cowboys
see
are
that.
not going to pay what it takes to get Choice. And I think Samples is also going to get a raise. Choice is making over $800,000. But two things. The Raiders and Saints are expressing interest in Choice, and they're willing to pay a buyout that the Cowboys are not willing to pay.
Interesting.
To get Choice.
Very interesting.
So I know the reports early on
Interesting
he's
that
going
the
back
Cowboys
to Texas.
are cheap again.
But he still has some other teams that are interested in him who haven't made their hires.
And I think it's fascinating with, like, we talk about the market, right? And, hey, these college coaches are making a lot of money. And, hey, maybe the NFL – there's no salary cap for coaches. And realistically, if you wanted Tashard Choice to be your running backs coach,
He'd be your coach.
he'd be your coach. But the buyout is a hindrance. Maybe it's an ego thing. I don't know. But Rashad Sample's probably going to get a raise, as you said. That leaves door number 3, too. They've talked to Derek Foster,
Right.
as we've talked about. That's still a candidate. So that could be a guy that ultimately ends up being the guy.
Historically, Jerry does not want to pay coaches. He don't want to pay head coaches. Definitely ain't going to pay assistant coach. If you don't want to pay your head coach at the top of the market, you're not going to pay your assistant coach at the top of
Facts.
the market. Let's be honest about that.
Facts.
Knight's in the chat. He said Hoyt's mock draft is scary, similar to mine. Where can they find that mock?
Well,
right
they can
there?
find it on YouTube.
That's right.
Hoyt.
Just go to our YouTube page. Get
You
that
copied
mock
off
draft.
Hoyt.
Yeah, well, yeah. Why'd you copy Joe's mock? That's
Maybe
okay.
I copied him. I don't know.
Giovanni has a great question because I was traveling all day yesterday. I got to our Airbnb about 11:15, 11:30 p.m.
And what happened?
We were up.
And while in the air and then on the ground, I was texting you guys just to figure out where I was going.
Yeah.
And I knew while texting, just from how you guys were making words, that today was going to be hard. I knew that.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have to carry a lot of weight and that it was going to be tough. But I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
You guys showed up and nobody vommed anywhere, and it was all good. But the question
You
for
wanna win,
Giovanni
put
is
Jill
how many
in.
hurricanes for Joe and Unc last night?
So no hurricanes.
Hand grenade?
I didn't get a hand grenade either.
Did you touch Bourbon Street?
Yes.
Yeah, we were on Bourbon the whole, before we
Touch-
saw you, yeah.
Touched Bourbon Street, and I drank bourbon, but I didn't have any.
Okay.
There was we drank something called swamp juice.
Listen.
Swamp juice?
You drank
Okay.
swamp juice.
Echoes the swamp juice.
I'm not getting a hurricane. I drink what I drink.
No, you're gonna have a double hazy IPA.
I'm not drinking IPA.
We posted on Twitter. We got two.
I drink that with you, but I'm not getting the hurricanes and the swamp juice and the.
How many drinks did you pay for last night, Clarence?
Couple. What are you talking about?
I do recall.
I'm hearing zero from the audience.
I do recall that I paid.
You didn't pay for
I do
nothing.
recall that I got around for you, and then you went and got around for you and John. And then, or you?
John got that round.
John was the one
John
that got
that
me.
round for John
and then
Clark.
John forgot someone.
And then I bought you a cigar.
Oh, he did buy the cigar though,
I
which
bought
was
the
very
cigar.
nice.
We
Very
smoked
nice.
a cigar.
The Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Julieta.
Julieta.
Romeo and Julieta. We had some cigars. It was good.
Very fun.
We was with all the other All-City franchises, and we had a good time. We missed you.
We did miss
I
you.
know at least two things happened that I'm looking forward to for the show. And we will do it tomorrow. Yeah. We'll show you. But I heard that Clarence interviewed a horse.
He did interview a horse.
And I know that you guys talked to Jameis Winston on Bourbon Street.
We did.
And if we don't get him on the show, with how much I love that man.
I feel bad.
If neither of you told him about, we talk about him a lot, and we had a reel get to 1.5 million views talking about him, you let me down.
No, we're sorry.
You didn't tell him?
No.
About my love?
It was a cluster.
We had to ask him questions.
Oh, was it a ganger?
Yeah, it was a cluster. We didn't get him by ourselves, and he was walking. He wasn't trying to stop. He was actually upset that we stopped him in front of a strip club.
Oh.
Yeah, there was in the background.
Because those are bad optics for a great leader and a man of the Lord.
Yeah, because we were interviewing him. He said, man, do we have to do this in front of the Hustler Club?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's never had anything that was bad optics.
not once.
In his life. He's never jumped up on a table at Florida State or walked up out of the Publix with some crab legs.
Crab legs.
Listen, he's changed. Those were his younger days.
Yeah.
He's grown. But, yeah, we'll try to get him on. He's going to be here Thursday. He has a show here Thursday, so we're going to try to get him on or something. We're going to try to run him down.
I feel bad because I may or may not have texted Jeff knowing how excited he would be
He said
about
we're going to have
him on Thursday. I was a little tipsy.
You were speaking it into existence.
I was trying to manifest it.
Yeah, you were manifesting.
And I was looking forward to talking to him about my idea. Do you think that he would be down? I mean, he probably would rather start for a team. But don't you think he'd be down to be the backup for both teams?
As long as there's snow.
Standalone game?
He knows he's a career backup. He's embraced the backup role.
He doesn't know that.
He knows.
You don't think that he's hoping that somebody signs him to be the whatever for them until their rookie's ready or something?
He knows. He knows.
Bring me Jameis.
He knows.
Is he a free agent?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Priority 1 for the Cowboys, Jameis.
He knows.
They need a backup quarterback.
Priority 2, all the other positions that they need. But number 1 is Jameis.
What contract are you doing?
1 year, $5 million.
For the guy who got you 1 million views?
Well, it's not my money. 1 year, $60 million. I don't care. Okay. It's not my money. Bring me Jameis. I want football to be fun, even when I don't have my starter.
Yeah.
I hate boring football.
You do not like the Cooper Rush
experiment. Cooper Rush football is boring, and you don't get to score points, and I hate it. So we're not going to do that. Yeah, this is my guy in the chat knows, Jameis, 35 touchdowns, 37 interceptions.
That is so fun.
If I don't have my starter, that is what I'm here for. I want all the touchdowns and all the picks. Everyone knows the Cowboys will screw up this draft and draft Genty. I know that one hurts.
Genty.
I'm not chanting.
Genty is not a screw-up.
I will not chant for a first-round running back
Taking
ever.
the best player on your board is not a screw-up.
I will not chant for a first-round running back ever. I will accept the pick.
I guarantee if they drafted him, you would chant.
Taking the best player on your board is not a screw-up.
If they draft him, you're chanting. I call it.
There is
Mr. I'm not going to go on a rant and then goes on a rant.
There is one player in this draft that if you got, I would chant.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Emeka Egbuka.
No. I do love him. But at 12, I wouldn't throw a party because I don't think that you've got incredible value. I think you've done. Nope. Only Abdul Carter would make me chant. All I need is the best player in the draft to fall to number 12. That's all I need.
How sad were you that because did you go to the place where hey, I could see the Cowboys getting him because
when I first watched him.
Yeah, and then just watching him rise and rise and rise, and your heart just sink and sink and sink, knowing that it.
If you want to do something fun, Abdul Carter's a pass rusher at Penn State. He wears 11 like Micah did. He rushes the passer like Micah does. Kind of built like Micah is.
Bad boy.
And if you want to have a really fun time, you have to find a friend who has college film and then get the All-22. In his first game, he wasn't good.
Yeah.
He was a linebacker the year before. In his first game, he wasn't good. And then just went, oh, okay, I got it. And just became a menace and a monster and a freak. And when I first watched his tape, I was like, oh, okay, new pass rusher, developing. You get towards the end of the season, you go, oh, crap, he's going number one. Unless somebody picks quarterback. But, I mean, he is a monster.
Oh, they took it down?
I thought I was going to get over this. They just took the banner of Luka Doncic off American Airlines Center.
A.D.
It hurts. It hurts to watch it. It hurts.
Fire Nico. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to have interviews all over the place.
Content.
Radio Row is wild. Welcome to New Orleans. We will see you tomorrow. Oh, got a super chat.
One more super chat.
Aaron's a trucker. I wear my Cowboys hat in every city. Was considering going for the Birdies this year, but after running into an Eagles fan at a truck stop, go win third in a row, Kansas City. Get Genty. Go, boys. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you to all of you. Please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool, everybody. We love you. Be easy.
We all silly like the mayor.